Nathan Nearest Green, born in 1820 in Maryland. Nearest, as his friends and family called him. Nearest, his exact birth and death date, they're unknown, as he was born into slavery. Well, some say it's debatable whether he was born into slavery or not, but we do know that he was a slave. Now, it's not even known whether that's actually him or not in this picture that you see. Now, this is a photo of Mr. Jack Daniels. He's the man with the white hat on. You know, another guy, and a lot speculate that the black man in this photo is Mr. Nearest Green. Now, a lot of things are unknown, but one thing that's definitely not unknown, well, it's not now because it's coming out more and more, is his story. And around about the mid-1800s, Nearest, he was a slave, so he was rented to Dan Call, whom was a whiskey distiller. He was a slave owner, of course, as well, and he was a preacher. Now, Nearest, he was lent to Call because of his special skill. Now, he was a skilled distiller, and he specialized in a process known as sugar maple charcoal filtering, which gave whiskey a unique smoothness. Now, many whiskey and food historians, they believe that this unique process was brought to America by slaves who used this charcoal and their filtration, and they used it to filter their water and purify their foods in West Africa. Now, Nearest, he was very good at this process. He was so good at what he did, his sugar maple charcoal filtered whiskey was the best in the area. And not long after Nearest was lent to Call, the preacher, a young white boy, he came to work at the farm. And Nearest, he had become a master distiller by this time. Now, the little boy, he was one of 10, and he had lost, he had 9 siblings, and they recently had lost their mother. So he became to work on the farm, and he was a worker just the same as Nearest was. And one day, Mr. Call, he took the little boy to Nearest, or a coal black Negro, as he described Nearest. But he took the little boy to Nearest and told Nearest he wanted him to teach the little boy everything he knows, all about the sugar maple and charcoal filtering and distilling. And now Nearest's process, he taught the little boy. He taught him well. But one key thing to know about Nearest's process is his process is what made the difference between bourbon and Tennessee whiskey. Now, his process and his special filtration is what taught the boy how to make Tennessee whiskey. And as the years passed, Nearest taught the boy more and more. And the boy, he eventually became old enough to sell this unique whiskey. He sold the whiskey to soldiers in the war, and he became a great salesman at that. Now, the boy, he eventually grew apart from the farm, and he took his whiskey business on away with him. And now Nearest, he was older, and he was retired by then, so he didn't go with the boy. But Nearest's 3 sons, Mr. Lewis, Eli, and George, they did go with him, and they continued the tradition. And this little white boy who became a millionaire off of Nearest's special filtration method, this little boy was none other than Jasper Jack Newton, better known as Mr. Jack Daniels. So, when you turn up that nice little glass with that smooth taste or smooth sip of Tennessee whiskey, you can thank Mr. Nearest Green for that. Mr. Nathan Nearest Green. And now 3 of his direct descendants, they actually still work for the Jack Daniels distillery to this very day. Nathan Nearest Green, from 1820 to 1890.